Hey, distance learners. So let's talk about what we're doing today. Today, we're going to be reviewing something called tone. This is something we've talked about a couple other times. I want to practice a little more with recognizing it. And today, we're going to be recognizing and practicing recognizing it using some lyrics. So let's talk about our goals for today. Our goals are to review tone's definition and practice recognizing it in lyrics. We're also going to use text evidence to support our opinions and answers about tone in music. So let's do a quick little refresher. What is an author or a speaker's tone? One way that I like to think about it is imagine you see your friend in the hallway, you haven't seen them in a long time. Maybe they just came back from distance learning or you just started a new school year, whatever it is. If you say, "Hey, nice to see you," and their response is, "Hey," with a blank face and just no excitement in their voice, you can make a guess that their attitude or how they're feeling towards you is probably not the greatest, or maybe they're just not feeling great at all. You can generally guess that they're not feeling super positive. However, if they respond back with your level of energy and excitement with a "hey" and like a wave, or maybe they come up and hug you in the pre-COVID era, maybe something like that, that shows that their excitement and happiness to see you matches yours and that they have a happy or excited attitude. So whenever we're reading, this is what we're looking for when I say an author or a speaker's tone. We're trying to find out their attitude towards what's going on in the story, whatever the topic is, or maybe the audience, or the central idea of that story, or or poem, or whatever it is. You're trying to figure out the author's or the speaker's attitude towards the text or the things that are in text. Some of the ways that we can try to figure out tone is we can look at the word choice, which the fancy word for that of the word choice that an author uses, which the fancy word for that is diction. You can just think of it as the author's word choice, whether they chose to use like negative words that sound really sad and making it seem like they're not very excited, or maybe words that are full of positivity and happiness. You can look for clues in the title. A lot of the times, the titles of chapters and poems and books will give you clues about what it's about or what's important in it. You can look at punctuation. If they use an exclamation point versus a period, if they use a question mark versus an exclamation point, things like that will show us potentially how that person's might be saying that word if they were saying it out loud. And then the last thing that we can do to help us determine tone, this is not an exhaustive list, but the ones that we're going to talk about today, is we can ask ourselves questions as we read or after we read. You're probably like, what questions? I have them listed here for you in your assignment. So some of the questions we can ask ourselves are, why do we think the author wrote this? What are they trying to get us to understand from this situation? Can you tell that they're angry and they want us to be angry too? Can you tell that they're sad and they're trying to explain their emotions? Why do you think they wrote this? And the second question is, who is their intended audience? When I say intended audience, I mean the person who they expected to be reading their work, whether it's a book or a poem or a song or whatever it is. Who do you think they wrote this or made this content for? Third question, what do you think they want the reader to learn, understand, or think about? If an author is just trying to give you objective, unbiased information, like in an informational article, they're probably just trying to give you information to teach you. They're not necessarily trying to convince you or make you feel a certain emotion. So, what do you think you're supposed to get out of this? A question that we can ask ourselves that sometimes is helpful, but is also sometimes confusing, is what emotions does this poem especially make me feel? However, there are exceptions to this. Sometimes if the speaker or the author might have a different attitude than you might have. So let's say our speaker or our author is really excited to go on a hike, but you hate hiking. So your immediate thought is, a hike. Your emotion is disgust in response to it, or apathy because you don't care. That's a different emotional response than the author might have. But sometimes it is helpful to think, what is this supposed to make me feel? Or what do I feel in response to this? It can help us determine the author's attitude sometimes. Question 5 is, what does the speaker think about what's happening in the text? Sometimes in a story, the author will choose the character to include the character's thoughts. And sometimes the author is sharing their thoughts as well through the character's thoughts. So what do they think about what's happening in the text? And then the last question is, how does the speaker feel about what is happening? What's their emotional response? If their emotional response is frustration and anger, about something that they think is unfair in the story, you can make a good guess that their tone is going to be angry when they start speaking or thinking to themselves. All right. For today's assignment, what you're going to do is you're going to watch this video here, and then you're going to answer this question. What is the tone of the music? When I say the music, I do mean just the instrumentals. What does the sound like in regards to its tone? What would you describe it as? Answer in a full and complete sentence here. After you do that, then you're going to watch the lyric video of the same song. And this time I want you to pay attention to the words that are on this song. What is the tone of the lyrics is the next question you're going to answer. What is the author's attitude of the lyrics specifically? And I've attached the copy of the lyrics from the song here for you. You're going to answer in another full and complete sentence. After that, you're going to fill this statement out. It says you're going to use the copy of the lyrics above so you can refer back to them. You're going to find text evidence in them to support your statement that you're going to write about this tone. So you say in verse 1, Sam Cooke states or sings, and then you'd insert a quote, and then his diction or choice to use the words, and then you'd list 2 words that you think are going to be relevant in describing the author's tone. Reveals that his tone is blank. So you might say that his tone is worried, or his tone is excited, or his tone is hopeful, whatever you think it is. And then you explain that quote because it shows that, because he describes his hope or he describes things in a positive way or something like that in your own words. This is what you're going to write. I have it filled out in like a statement. So you could copy and paste this and add in your own words for these 5 blanks. That's all you're doing for this assignment. This is a major grade, and after you finish, you make sure you click submit. Like again, I mentioned, this is a major grade. This will be your last major grade. All right, if you guys have questions, let me know.